Hey guys, welcome back to hemorrdroids.net. I've been using for the last, well, almost a week I suppose, the HTC One X. You may have already seen Raju's review on the website. If you haven't, go and check that out, hemorrdroids.net. I'm just going to give you the quick sort of, well, really it's my video opinion as well, my own sort of review. I've not, as you may be aware, the ones that have followed my video reviews over the last year or so, I'm not the biggest fan of HTC, or I became sort of less happy with their products over last year. I thought the Desire was a great device, the Nexus One was a great device, and then they kind of went off the rails a bit, beginning with the Desire HD perhaps, and the Desire Z. I thought the build quality on them was pretty poor. Couple that in with Sense UI meant that it wasn't a very good option. Samsung came along with much better devices last year in my opinion, but this is perhaps and hopefully a return to form of HTC. I think they saw their sales and profits drop off quite a lot last year and perhaps decided, look, we need to produce a quality device, and they maybe put a bit more thought into this. So it's the One X. There are, I think, 3 different devices in the One range, maybe more. But this is the sort of top end. It's got a 1.5 gigahertz quad core CPU. It's got a 8 megapixel camera with flash. We have a look around the microphone. It still has the, I mean, I was going to say physical buttons, but they're not really physical. They're still sort of touch sensitive, but it has designated buttons. It has Beats audio, which, I don't know, you turn it on and it just makes you sound, well, in my earphones, just a slight bit more bass to them basically. But I mean, the first time I held this, you could feel, this is a quality device again. I much prefer the polycarbonate body shell to the ones they did have, which I found sort of marked and scarred quite easily. This, I mean, yeah, it feels plasticky, but not cheap plasticky. So those people that moan about the Samsungs feeling cheap, you hopefully would be quite happy with this. I like the sort of indented HTC in the back there. It all around just feels of quality. The screen on the front, getting a bit greasy, has got a slight curve to the edges. So unlike the Xperia S, which almost had sharp edges, very much, you could very much feel them, this sits much more comfortably in your hand. It's very nice build quality. Also, it's got Gorilla Glass. Now, I know people with the Nexus, Galaxy Nexus, you know, Gorilla Glass is just a brand of strengthened glass. But there are a lot of people with the Nexus, myself included, that managed to get little marks on it somehow. And even just from sitting in your pocket, you don't quite understand why, but these little marks would appear. So I'm quite pleased it's got Gorilla Glass, to be honest. Let's give it a quick wipe. I mean, I just have a bit more faith in it, to be honest, than having marked up my my Nexus. Only a slight nick, and you only see it on close inspection, but that seems to be what a lot of people found. It weighs 130 grams. It feels lighter than that, to be honest. So it's a little bit heavier than the Nexus, but lighter than things like the Desire HD. But it feels, maybe it's just kind of how sort of smooth and comfortable it is, just makes it feel a bit lighter, I don't know. So I've mentioned the camera and the quad-core processor. It also has a particularly fast GPS. We showed that in some of my tests. Have a look on my other YouTube videos. It's this is the 32 gig model, which gives me, the end user, about 25 gigs, 26 gigs available to do what you like with. And the battery is sealed in, so it is a solid unit. It takes a micro SIM as well, I should point out at the top there, that you need to bring in. You can't actually get into the back of that. Doesn't really bother me too much. There is a way to do a hard reset by holding the power button down for 10 seconds. But yes, there's an 1850 mAh battery in there, which may be sort of why it's sealed in. They can make more use of the space, and hopefully that's given it a bit of extra battery power. I found, I went 16 hours without much trouble. I particularly found that when it's in standby mode, it was very good with battery power. You could go for an hour or two where it only changed 1 or 2%. I'd start using it, it would start dropping quite quick after that. So maybe it's just the battery power showing a bit of a false number. But although it's quad-core CPU, it's got a 5th core, which is throttled at about, I don't know, 300 megahertz perhaps. That's what kicks in when it's in standby mode like it is now, which in theory means it shouldn't take up much battery. So, then we've got the screen. Now again, I've been a Super AMOLED Plus fan for a long time. I thought the Nexus and the S2 screen was amazing, but I've got to give it credit. I don't know how well you can see it on the video, but this screen is just fantastic. It's got 312 pixels per inch, which is about the same as the Nexus, I believe, because it's a 4.7 inch screen, 1280 by 720. So it's not as high as the Xperia S, which is about 340, and it's not quite as high as the iPhone 4S, which was about 330, 332 maybe. But I mean, you wouldn't tell. It's just, again, I don't know how well the camera can pick it up, but it just looks so crisp. And it's sort of bright and vivid. And even the blacks, I mean, they're not quite as good as the Super AMOLED Plus, but even the blacks look pretty black, and the whites generally look a bit whiter than on the AMOLED. So fantastic screen, very, you know, a good strong point of the device basically. So as with most HTC devices, then we have to deal with Sense UI. I've removed a lot of the Sense UI widgets that come with it. As you can see here, this is how you add widgets, which is a little bit odd. It's a bit kind of, I think Raju said, honeycomb-like really. So you get the screens at the top, and you have to slide. You can slide them. You can't slide very quickly through them because you get. Well, I've got 40 screens of widgets now, but the speed you can whiz through them, you know, that's testament to the processor, I suppose, in itself. When you find the one you want, you just drag and drop it to whichever screen you want. It's quite snazzy. That's always been the thing with Sense UI. I understood gingerbread before why you would want it, because it does make things look a little bit nicer. But these days, you know, now with Ice Cream Sandwich, why would you want to mess with Ice Cream Sandwich? It looks gorgeous in itself, so you kind of wonder, why would you mess with it? As you saw there, I cheated a bit, and I put Nova Launcher on. So now I've got my Ice Cream Sandwich back again. My app drawer is the Ice Cream Sandwich app drawer. I get my widgets as they're meant to be. So that's a bit of a cheat that you can do. You do still get, my biggest disappointment is the calendar. I love the calendar on Ice Cream Sandwich. I love the week view where I can see all the different not bar graphs, but the different bars of where I'm working and when I'm doing things, and it's easy to see when I'm busy and when I'm not. But on this one I get the month, I get the day view, I get an agenda view, but I don't get the week view. And the month view, I mean, apart from actually looking up a date, what good is that to anybody? Why? I don't understand why they think that is a useful view to anybody. If you disagree, please let me know in the comments. I don't understand why that's any use. So I found that quite disappointing. So let me lock it into Nova Launcher now. So I did find, I think it's Business Calendar or something. That's the one thing, and every now and then Nova Launch takes a bit longer to load. So I'm using Business Calendar now, which gives me the better views, a bit more useful views. One of the strong points is the camera. It's won many sort of competitions, including our own. We put it up against the Xperia S, which I myself had said, wow, you know, the best camera on a mobile phone, but I've got to hand it to it, this is a better camera. It can do all clever things like if we're filming. So there we go, we're recording. If I tap the screen, it takes us still. It carries on recording as normal, but it takes us still. Let's stop the recording. And you can see the nice interest. I mean, I can't really show you much more. Like if you hold it down, it will take multiple and end up with about 6 different photos. And there we go. There we see them all, and I get to delete. Or I can say it's the best shot, so I'm just going to delete all of them. Delete 4. I was quite amazed by the HDR which is high dynamic range, and again I won't be able to demonstrate it. Let me see if I can get to a picture that I used it. Oh, oh goodness, now loads of photos to go through. Effectively what it does though, it takes 3 or 4 different photos. No, I'm not going to find one. It takes 3 or 4 different photos at different sort of not white balance, exposure levels. I forget the exact terminology, it escapes me right now. But to make it lighter and darker, basically 3 different pictures, and then it takes the best exposure from each picture to put together a better looking photo. And some of the results were basically pretty fantastic. I was, very impressed. I have noticed on closer inspection, you don't get the best. If you do it when you don't need to, the normal camera will take a better picture, a sharper, crisper picture. But if you look into the sun, I want to find it now. If I need to, I'll edit this while I just quickly find you a picture that I took. So here's an example. This is directly into the sun. That there, it's slightly covered by clouds, but that is the sun. Normally, take a picture into the sun, the building's just going to be pretty greyed out, pretty much a silhouette almost of or you see the building, but you just get a white sky where it's so bright. But it's taken the best of the 3 pictures on each one for the sky and for the building. And you can't see too well, but like I say, basically that's into the sun. You can see all the detail in the sky and the detail in the buildings below. Really quite impressive. Try that with your own phone. Take a picture into the sun and see what happens. So, camera, very impressive. Just a shame that there's no dedicated camera button. If this had a dedicated camera button, like the Xperia S, and you could open it to the camera, that would have been a massive selling point. Some of the stuff I do like that comes with Sense UI. So, for example, let's just show you the lock screen. So I've got it on the weather version, so in it comes spinning in, London, showers, 9 degrees. You get the quick launches, so I can go straight into Spotify by holding that and dropping it in the ring pull. If I've got a text message that appears in the middle, and I can drop that into the ring pull and open straight to the text message, or I can just open as normal. And that can be changed in the settings, so lock screen style. So for example, I can have that to be my friend stream. Things whiz in and out, and I can sort of spin through them myself. Or I can have my photo album. So it just throws up pictures that I've taken. Oh, I didn't take that. Oh, this is perhaps just the demo, I suppose. That's why the previous one wasn't responding to me so well. But these would be, if I actually set that, these would be all photos that I've taken come flying in and out. So, I don't know, some people say, oh, it's all extras you don't need and blah, blah, blah. But I like them. They look nice. So, I'll leave it. I won't mess about with it. You can also change the sort of colour scheme. Actually, no, this isn't the colour scheme. Sorry, this is sort of the layout of things. If that seems, if I remember correctly, you can say, yeah, you can save, and so you can set up for at home. You have a certain amount of things, like so, and then when at work you have a different setup. I forgot actually you could do that. Yeah, so you can save and name all the different sort of layouts that you have. I might have a play with that later. Or you get different skins. So I'm on matte at the moment, but you can go to fracture. Oopsie daisy. Oh, I didn't actually mean to go to fracture. So look now. So I got a gold ring ball. Whee! Anyway, so yeah, you can do that. I think that's most of the device spoken about. I suppose I didn't mention the speaker. The speaker, to me, is very important. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and in the morning when I'm getting through work, I like to just have it sat on a table somewhere and have it playing while I make my breakfast or iron a shirt, and it has to have a loudspeaker. A loud.
Oh, no wonder. I was just going through the Eagles team. I'm like, I love this team. I love this team. Oh, I was still on the Eagles. My bad. No wonder I didn't like this.
I was like, you were naming out some people.
Well, it all sounded wrong to me, Stephen. Okay, so they have holes. Okay, they got say Uniboa.
So that's the that's a podcast playing. Let's give you a quick blast of something from. I'll put that down for a second. That's pretty good. I mean, it's not, you're not going to hold a party around your phone, but it's loud enough that you can hear it. So, like I said, the podcast for me the main thing, and it does a great job with that. The overall feel, I think, is fantastic. I mean, look how quick that moves around. You can't. Oopsie. Oh, I broke it now. You can't beat that really, although I think I've upset it. It is very smooth. Go away. And all in all, just a very good device. Probably good enough that it's going to take me away from my Nexus, even if it's only for a few weeks until the S3 comes out. But all in all, HTC back with a decent device, the One X. There you go. My name's Andy, hemorrdroids.net.